Hi everyone, I'm Music Career Bestie and I teach other musicians how to operate as a business and sign 5 to 6 figures of music gig under your belt as solo brands and musicians. Welcome to my channel. Wow, I felt like that intro was hefty, but I think I'm getting a hang of it. I am founder of a solo music brand. I didn't plan on becoming what I am today. It's where life brought me, and I'm happy to share any of my tips, tricks, and hacks, and any insights I have into creating a rich music career. For those who are new, welcome. This is only going to be my 5th video. It's been a month since I started making weekly videos, and since then I've had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys got to catch up maybe 1 or 2 of my YouTube videos before. So far I talked a little bit about myself in the very first video that I released. Talk about why I started this channel and who I am and what I do. That was my first video. Second YouTube video, I talked about 5 reasons why musicians struggle to build wealth, and number 1 reason from that was because of the unstable income. There are 4 more reasons I go through it, so if you're interested, check it out later. But the main struggle was the unstable income, and it is so true. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I was inspired to create this channel. For the past few years, I made a huge transition in my life and my career, and honestly, it was really scary and kind of cringy because I had no idea where my life was gonna take me or whether I was gonna just become a complete failure of life. So far, things are going really great, which is why I want to share all this awesome things that I found along my solo brand music journey. So I started to share, how to get better at stabilizing our income, because that's gonna be one way to really better position ourselves in our career so that we can get better gigs, so we can become better performers, so we can start to work on different projects that we feel passionate about. So the 3rd episode, I talked a lot about 4 essential reasons why musicians need a contract in place. Okay, this is so important because this brings me to my next point. I will be releasing my very own artist contract. This is my performance services agreement, and it is very, very specific to what I do in my music brand, and my legal counsel and I have been working for months to try to come up with a way where we can make this resource available for you, because typically lawyers cost about $100 to $600 an hour, and in order to get your contract made specific to your niche and your scope of work and what you do and everything that you will be doing for a specific project gig, all that can run anywhere from $1,500 to $150K for music labels and management. So these are part of the daily due diligence that artists should really study about and get to know about before they start thinking about signing big gigs. Because if you're thinking 5 to 6 figures, we're talking big money, not a couple $100s or anything under $500. So please understand, these large sums and budgets of music entertainment, they don't just come out of someone's side pocket. Usually there are designated budgets in place and funds available to afford, hire, and book artists and bands like myself, and that's what we always want to talk about in my channel. So stay tuned for more, because other resources coming your way. Anyway, but August 1st is when the contract that you guys can purchase from my stand store is coming, and it will be in a format where you can edit your name, time, date, scope of work, duration, location, client's name, address, payment information, rate, your policy, your contract, your agreements, your own everything under the sun. You'll be able to edit and modify with this awesome resource that I am so happy to share with you guys. Whoa. Lifestyle of a musician, and that's what I really want to talk about, and that is really the theme of this specific YouTube video today. And last week I released the 4th video, which was how to start your music career by creating a website, where I dug in a little deeper about what our landing page should look like, what it should project to your audience and any visitors that may enter your personal website, and how to communicate your brand style, characteristics through that. And that's basically me kind of reiterating how to set your own brand and start building your own music brand as a solo performer. What the hell is a lifestyle of a musician? To be honest, I can't speak for everyone, and I can't even speak for myself. About 5 years ago, looking back, my lifestyle as a musician 5 years ago included waking up super early, having little children that were barely school-aged, taking care of the home, trying to practice a little bit because I had to teach my students. But there was no time and place for me to work on my own music project, work on my own ideas, and grow as a musician, because I was literally trading all of my time for money by being in dozens and dozens of different teaching gigs, as well as orchestras that I played with. What made it challenging was that lifestyle that we're talking about. Again, I know there's so many different lucrative ways in making music and making money as a musician in this industry in 2023, but typically you are working evening and weekends if you are a performer or a live musician like myself, which I love doing. However, I couldn't really travel because my weekends and evenings were tied in contracts that I signed. I signed my souls and my whole schedule and my entire motherhood away. Late nights at rehearsals and orchestras. I did all this just to realize in 2020 they were all gone. So everything I dedicated to building turned out to be not for me. It was definitely not for me, and I hope it's for the people or the city or the audience. I'm actually not sure, because the orchestras are not for the players of orchestra, so I'm hoping it's for someone else. Hopefully the audience and I guess underprivileged people who don't have access to music. But I don't know the classical industry works that way. We'll talk more about this topic next time. But my music career and the lifestyle, they were not ideal. So that was very tough for me. What made things way better for me is when I started to build my own brand. Thank goodness, COVID and pandemic just went ahead and decided to just get rid of everything as we know it. And for that reason, I was having to look for different ways to make a living. Because at the time, all my teaching incomes and my orchestra contracts were gone. Like they just acted like the contracts never existed. And that's when I realized, okay, I want my own contracts now. I want people playing by my role, and I'm gonna have a say so. And it took a long time, but ever since I started to do that, I was able to capture my own clientele, my own audience, and my own clients. And with them, after maybe once or twice or multiple repeated gigs and collaborations, we then move into a long-term contracted gigs. And this works for me because when I create these contracts and my legal counsel will work with my client who goes into this collab with me, we will come up with the scope of work and how often it will be performed for. So what does this mean? This is the reason why I rave about contracts all the time. This means that I am protected to earn a projected amount of income that we initially talked about. Does it make sense? So it says that, we'll negotiate. So it's not like all of a sudden, oh, don't need you anymore, and I no longer have a job for the rest of the year or things like that. My income will stay stable because I choose to only work with clients with a contract in place, which dictates when and where and how much I work. And if those things don't happen, then what is my alternative in providing my services and also collecting my projected income at the end of the day. And this has allowed so much freedom, you guys. In fact, just last week, I popped over to Colorado. I say popped over, but it was an 18-hour drive from Dallas. We went to go stay at our condo, and get away from the heat a little bit. And I just thought to myself, wow, there was no way in heck that I was able to ever miss any rehearsals or orchestra gigs that I signed the contracts for. However, now I get to set my own time to schedule my travels, family time, breaks, and do whatever I like. Then when I am teaching and performing, another thing that has really helped me with my teaching studio, I've kept the same exact schedule for the past, oh boy, like 4 or 5 years. And you can ask my students, and we actually talked about this, and the families really prefer it this way because I was trying to build my music performance career for the past few years. I reserved a very specific date to teach, and outside of those very specific dates, I do not teach or even schedule my makeups. And I started to do this because for the first 10 years my teaching career, I realized that I was teaching 5 days a week and I was doing makeups 1 or 2 days that I wasn't teaching, and then I realized I was teaching 7 days a week, and it was impossible to move things around or have any wiggle room for personal life. Thankfully, COVID took care of all of that. I ended up letting go of all my teaching contracts who were not my private clients, and my private clients, my JC Cello Studio students have always stayed with me. So I only teach privately in my own studio under my brand. That's another level of freedom I unlocked once I stopped teaching for others and set my own schedule. So to this day, I teach Monday and Wednesdays, and then I'll do half a morning on Saturdays and do makeup stand. And that has worked out because typically, unless it's a travel gig, I don't do anything on Saturday mornings. So I can reserve that time, and then Monday, Wednesday evenings are actually the slowest gigging day, so it works out perfectly. I book a lot of events, actually corporate events, on Tuesdays. They typically happen during the week, not even towards the end of the week, which is interesting. And the times that I don't have any gigs booked for the weekends, I get to travel and do whatever I want and spend my time wherever I like. As of right now, I have a weekly gig that I'm playing. However, besides that, everything else is going to be a little more flexible because I get to dictate which weekends I open up and make available for any performances, which I'm still booking for 2023 and as well as 2024. I've already started booking my calendar out for 2024. So, woo, I'm winded now, but a few things that I wanted you to think about. Once you can get to a place where you can stabilize your income and understand your projected income would be very similar to what you will end up getting, and start to create your life and other streams of passive income, you'll start to really experience this rich music career I'm talking about. So next week is going to be August already. It's crazy, but starting August, it's a special month because I'm a Leo. So next Friday will be career tips I wish I had known in my 20s. So we're gonna talk about career tips, things I wish I had known in my 20s. And we'll talk about career tips for musicians and why we don't make demands, because we should. Anyway, thanks for watching me. See ya.